we're going to change the plan slightly, yeah? We'll do objection handling in the third session. I want to share something more important with you right now. Is the process of sales. So sales is a process. We've all heard that. Yeah, we have something called the sales process. You all have heard that, right, in your training?
Yes.
From a suspect, there's a prospect. From a prospect, there's a client. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, what is the known sales process? We have prospecting, presentation, and closing. Correct? But it doesn't end over there. Where does it end? The next step is underwriting. And then there is policy issuance. So there is a 4-step process. Prospecting, presentation, closing, underwriting, policy issuance. If one of this is not completed, so you might be the best opening guy, you might be the best presenter, and you might be the fantastic person at closing. You don't get underwriting done, what happens?
Okay.
All hard work gone, right? So you have to sell twice. There is prospecting, presentation, closing, presentation, closing. Your underwriter is also your client. Please remember that. Your underwriter is also your client. I'll give you an example. So I have a client who wants to buy 10 million ringgit. Yeah, let's not go $10 million now. 10 million ringgit. I want to place a 10 million ringgit. I do the opening, I do the presentation, client signs. So I've closed my first case. Now, I have to open, present and close to the underwriter. What is the opening for the underwriter? I'll give you an example. So, my best friend, there's a girl that I know in college, and I have another friend in college, and I think they should be together. So what do I go and tell the girl? There's this amazing guy, really cute, smart, I think you should be with him. She says, okay. Closing. Now you come to the guy. What do you tell the guy? Dude, there's this amazing girl. Very sweet, very nice. I think you should meet her. Right? He says, if he says no, Sanjay, no, I've already got someone. What happens? The deal goes through the ground, right? Goes through the crack. If he says yes, then they can communicate. If things work out, it becomes a marriage. Policy issuance. Same concept. So there's a girl, your client. Opening, presentation, closing. And the same process is done on the underwriting side. Opening, presentation, closing. If you cannot close with the underwriter, you lose everything you have done. So you need to learn the whole process. But Sanjay, I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales guy. I don't understand underwriting. Correct? How many of you understand underwriting? Okay. If there are some tips that I can give you today, yeah? Some of the tips are, 1, invest in yourself. I want you to start studying your own business. For yourself, not for me. Not for your company, not for your team. They don't care. Invest money in your own education. Understand how our business works. 2, learn everything that is associated with your business. What are the things that are associated with our business? Yeah? What are the things that affect an insurance plan from being sold or not sold? What are the things that affect it? 1, underwriting. Correct? Understand underwriting. Don't become underwriters. But understand underwriting. Understand property. I'm the first insurance guy who will tell you, please learn what property does. Property is an asset that you are always competing against, correct?
Yes.
So shouldn't you know the competition? They say keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Same thing. You should learn everything to do with property. What's the third thing that affects our business? Doctors, medical terminologies. I'm not asking you to become a doctor, but can you learn how to read the medical report? When your client fills the application form, there are some medical questions. They're very basic questions. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I had an agent who shared a client's application form with me that she filled. She shared it with me. The client has asthma. So the underwriter said we need to fill up the asthma questionnaire, correct? Alright. Now there's a question in the questionnaire. When was the last time you had an asthma attack? That was the question. And he wrote over there, a few weeks ago, it was mild. The next question was, in the last 2 years, how many asthma attacks have you had? You know what the client had written? None. I have not seen the doctor in 2 years. That was not the question. What was the question? How many attacks have you had in the last 2 years? You have to at least write one, because you just said 3 weeks ago I had an asthma attack. Okay. Third question. In the last 2 years, how many times have you seen the doctor? He's not filled it. Because he thought he has already answered that question before. Why does he need to write it again? Do you see the mistake? Now you see the mistake, right? Because I am explaining it to you. The agent did not also read the questions. Anyways, we go on to the next page. On the next page, the question is, does anybody in your immediate family have asthma? He had written, mother, not anymore. Now what does that mean? Is the mother not anymore? Is she dead? Or does the mother had asthma and doesn't have anymore? Do you understand that? Now this is a real case study that happened last night. This is last night's example. I have seen this many times. Now, like I told you, I don't know anything about application forms, right? I don't fill it, but I know how to check. And how do I check? I understand the terminologies. I understand the question. Don't just look at a question and answer. Understand what the question is asking you. Sometimes in the underwriting process, you don't need to answer something. If the underwriter has not asked for it, don't give it to him. TMI. You know what's TMI? Too much information. GTH, TMI. Come on, you guys use FYP, FYC, right? This is the terminology for our business. TMI, GTH. I'm a sales guy. And that is part of underwriting. I have a client, 63-year-old guy. Yeah? I just mentioned to you, Indonesian. We did $50 million on the case. Now let me give you the full story. Let me give you the whole case study. So the case study was, it started off with $25 million. We discussed to buy $25 million. That was the initial agenda. Now this guy is 63, diabetic, hypertension, cholesterol. Diabetic, hypertension, cholesterol. Family history, mother died at the age of 67, father died at the age of 62. Yeah? He is 63. So, it was easy to close the sale on this side, right? Instinct insurance. Now on the other side, underwriting. What do? How do you sell to the underwriter? True story. This is an exact thing that happened last year. I got standard rate. You're all thinking, how the hell did you do it, right? Let me share you a story. Opening, presentation, closing. Opening, I went to the underwriter. Underwriter, I have got this amazing high-profile client. If he buys, his entire community will buy, because whatever he buys, they buy. Business potential. Very, very, very well-connected guy. We need to have him on our books as a client. You have him on your books, you can get your sales guys to sell more. Forget sales guys, I will sell more to his group. So I need this approved opening. Sanjay, but why should I take this risk? He's diabetic, hypertension, cholesterol, family history of 60-year-olds dying. I said, underwriter, understand something. When his mother was 60, we didn't have medical technology the way we have today. People are living longer. You and I both know that. You only told me people are living longer, correct? He said, yeah. I said, exactly. What makes you think his life expectancy is lower? He said, but Sanjay, he's got diabetes, blood pressure and cholesterol. I said, but look at his diabetes rate. It's well controlled. Look at his hypertension. He's taking a tablet and it's controlled. Look at his cholesterol. He's taking a tablet, it is controlled. Everything is controlled. What do you think will happen? He will live a normal life. 5% less or down, up and down, right? If you are a controlled diabetic, your life expectancy is equal to that of a non-diabetic. Did you know that? There's a 5% chance you will have a less than normal life expectancy. So I can charge you 5% or maybe 10% loading. How do you do that? If it's controlled diabetes, if it's controlled hypertension, controlled cholesterol. If it is not controlled, different story. If it is controlled, you have that. So he said, okay, we'll give him table 1 rating. How much is table 1 rating? 25%. Because there's only standard, table 1, table 2, correct? So give him table 1 rating. The underwriter approved till table 1. Now how do I get standard? So I told him, underwriter, look at his profile. The guy is almost worth $1 billion. He's worth about $700-800 million. He's got $2 million of medical insurance with my company. If he needs any treatment, we will fly him to the best hospital. We will get him the best treatment, and his family does not even need to pay for it. I will pay for it. We are insured. $2 million, no annual limit. No lifetime limit. Annually, $2 million. He's like, okay, but that will cover medical costs. I said, yeah. And let me tell you something else. The guy is so rich. If any of his organs stop working, the family will buy another organ. We are in Asia. It's available. They are so rich. They won't let him die. He will probably live longer than you. He's so rich. He doesn't need insurance. Do you understand? He's so rich. Underwriters, what do they think? He's so rich, he doesn't need insurance, correct? That's why all the clients think they don't need insurance. So even the underwriter thinks the same thing. He's so rich, why does he need insurance? Exactly. He is so rich, he doesn't need the insurance. So that's why you should take the risk on him, because he doesn't need it. He said, okay, we'll give him standard rates. I said, by the way, how much more can you give him? So I went back to the client and I said, listen, my underwriter is mad. For some reason, he's giving you standard rate. Yeah, my underwriter is mad, not me. Yeah? My underwriter is mad. He's giving you standard rates. How much more you want to buy? And he said, let's double it. This is probably the last policy you can buy, right? Double it. That's how I sold him 50 million. So I went back to the underwriter and I said, listen, he's ready to buy 50, and if you give me standard rate for his wife also, we will get another 25. Do you see the sales pitch on both sides? Opening, presentation, closing. Opening, presentation, closing. It's the same process. But Sanjay, I don't meet the underwriter. Correct? Sanjay, I don't meet the underwriter. Do you think what? From my first case, the underwriter started sitting with me? No. You have to build yourself. You have to build your professional profile. How do you do that? From your smallest case, $25,000, I don't care. $100,000, I don't care. You have to start building your profile of professional work. What do I mean by professional work? You have to profile your clients for the underwriter. The underwriter never meets the client, correct? What do they do? They look at an application form, they look at medical reports, they look at a financial questionnaire, and they try to imagine what the client looks like. Correct? If your profiling is bad, your underwriter will not assess the risk correctly. So from your smallest case, start to profile your clients. It is better you make mistakes in the small case than make mistakes in the big case, correct? So from the small case, start working on profiling your client. How did you come to that number? Why did you come up with that figure? What is the lifestyle of that client? Lifestyle. Not medical history. Medical history, he knows. What is the lifestyle? Does this guy work out every day? Does this guy go for a walk? Is he vegetarian? In the application form, do they ask, is he vegetarian, non-vegetarian? No, correct? But we know for a fact, vegetarians somehow live longer than non-vegetarians. That's the belief. The underwriters also have heard that. There is no statistics to prove it. There is no statistics in the world that says vegetarians live longer than non-vegetarians. But it is a perception. That's why people are becoming vegan. Correct? That whole fad has started. Because it's a perception. Now that's the same perception that even the underwriter has. There's no logic, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. We sell on perception. And that is the process. So start profiling your clients. I even write in my application what type of medical insurance they have from other companies, if it's not from my company. Because that shows how much they will have to spend from their pocket to get treatment. Now, if you have medical insurance, as an example, would you be more keen to going to a doctor or not going to a doctor? You'll be more keen to go to a doctor. Why? You don't have to pay for it. But if you don't have medical insurance, you might say, okay la, I've got headache. Let's wait for 1 week. Headache is still not gone, we're still popping Panadols. Why? Because I don't want to go and see the doctor, I have to spend money. Let's just pop Panadols. Correct? 2 weeks go by and you're like, yeah, my headache is not gone for 2 weeks, now I should go to the doctor. Correct? But if you have medical insurance, after 2 days your headache is not gone, you run to the doctor. Hey, my headache is not gone. How long have you had it? 2 days. That's it? Okay, let's do full tests. 2 days your headache is not gone. How will the doctor make money? Blood test, even MRI of the brain sometimes. Maybe it's tumor. It's exactly the same thing. So I write that in my client profile, that the guy has medical insurance from so-and-so company and he has so much coverage that we don't have to worry about his medical treatment. Do you see how I position my client differently from the way you position? That's what I do. So I'm sharing my system with you. This is what I do every single day of my life, is profile my client. My client travels. For example, we have travel questionnaires, right? In the travel questionnaire, does it talk about whether you travel economy class, first class or business class? No, right? Don't you think it is important? I'll give you an example. One of the highest causes of death during travel is what? Deep vein thrombosis. Have you heard of it? Now, when do you get deep vein thrombosis? When you're sitting in one position for too long. Correct? If you're traveling in business class, are you sitting in the same position for too long? No, you're sleeping. What is the probability? So why do they ask this question about travel questionnaire? They want to see how many times you're traveling, what is your frequency of travel, which countries you travel to because of the risk in that country, and they want to see the potential risk of deep vein thrombosis. Did you know that? This is underwriter talking, huh? An underwriter, the travel questionnaire serves three purposes. One, frequency of travel. The more often you travel, the higher your chance of getting deep vein thrombosis or causing death or causing arteries to get calcified. Have you heard these words? Calcification of arteries. Okay, when your arteries narrow because of air pressure and expand, very often you start getting calcification deposits. I'm not a doctor, but I know this from the underwriter. So I studied underwriting. That's the purpose of the travel questionnaire, to find out how often does he travel, which countries does he travel to, what is the risk in that country. So am I flying often to Nigeria, Afghanistan, Iraq? If I'm traveling to those countries, what is the potential war risk? Think from an underwriter's perspective. The first part was thinking from the client's perspective, right? The second part is thinking from the underwriter's perspective. Why should I marry this girl if she's got so many risks? Or why should I marry this guy? He's an adrenaline junkie. Same process. So, opening, presentation, closing, opening, presentation, closing. Only then you get commission. So you have to close 2 times. Once to the client, once to the underwriter. Now coming back to the small cases. You have to understand, our business is like a heartbeat. What does that mean? You have to have the small cases and you have to have big cases. The big cases make you rich. So if you're only doing big cases and you don't get a big case for a long time, what happens? You flatline. So the small cases keep you alive and the big cases make you rich. Correct? You have to do the small cases. If you're only focusing on big clients and you're only focusing on the big premium and you don't get one, I'll give you an example. 9 months ago, I closed a case. Premium, $3 million per year for 5 years. $3 million premium per year for 5 years. $50 million life cover. 9 months ago, I closed the case. Client agreed. It took me 9 months for underwriting because we had to find where to place the risk. After 9 months, the underwriter said, okay, this guy had borderline cholesterol. So the underwriter was planning to give him table 1 rating. I got him standard. I went to the client and I said, listen, instead of 3 million, your premium has been reduced to 2.9. I'm saving you $100,000 in 5 years. That is $500,000. Big money, right? Client should be happy. The client said, Sanjay, forget it. Let's not do it. I said, but I've worked so hard.